anyway, so let's get into this. Part 2 of our review of Season 1. So just to recap, Mike, I'm going to speak for both of us, and if I'm wrong, tell me so. Feel free to correct me. But our general feelings on episodes 1 through 5 was, what? Did I sum it up well enough there? What do you think?
Vincent, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I thought this was a masterpiece of television. Alex Kurtzman is a god of crafting stories, and I couldn't have enjoyed it more. I'm just totally joking.
Oh my god, you've been replaced by one of those dirty synths. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, you were a little bit more defined in your opinion of it than I was. I was telling you that even though I had a lot of criticisms, I was trying to stay on the fence and give them the benefit of the doubt that they would do something okay with the last half of the season. Well, we'll get into it, but
we're gonna get into it.
I have a firm opinion.
We're gonna get into it. All right. But yeah. So, quick recap. Basically, what happened in the first half of the season was Picard, he's now elderly. He's been retired from Starfleet for over 14 years. And after an incident where he tried to help the Romulan Empire survive the destruction of their homeworld, Starfleet became very corrupt and not the Starfleet that we all have come to know. He also finds out that Data has a daughter out there that needs to be saved because she's being hunted down by some kind of secret Romulan group, which we find out is an ancient Romulan cult that's like the Tal Shiar, but older, and they have some grave secret. And along the way, Picard assembles a ragtag crew to go out into space and to find Data's daughter, whose name is Soji. And that's the basic recap. And so we start things off, and I had to look this up. I was looking this up earlier today because there was because we got to cover these last 5 episodes, episodes 6 through 10. And there was an episode I was forgetting. I couldn't remember what happened because this show has got me so uninterested in stuff. I had to go through the IMDb episode page to remember. I was like, what the fuck am I forgetting? And it was episode 8, Broken Pieces, which is aka the exposition episode. We'll get to that. We will get to that. But anyway, so
every episode, the exposition episode, it feels like they're shoveling information down your throat in every other episode.
This is very true, Mike. You got it right on the point.
There's an M. Night Shyamalan twist every episode also, where they try to pull the rug from underneath you and be like, ha, here's a new development.
I know, man. This this show throws a lot at the viewer, and it kind of we'll discuss whether or not it all comes together in the end. But yeah, we're gonna go through each episode, but we're gonna go through them real quickly. We're gonna push through them. So we're gonna start out with episode 6, The Impossible Box, aka Picard finally gets to Soji. So the episode is Picard and his ragtag crew, consisting of Rios, Dr. Agnes, Rafi, and Elnor the questionable. I'll call him now Elnor the questionable because I still don't get what the hell his character point was. They finally get to the Borg cube that's being reconstructed at Soji's on, where she's been sleeping with the secret Romulan guy. Mike, what's the Romulan guy's name? Is it Narek? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's Narek.
Okay, I'm really having trouble because I definitely don't remember his sister's name. I just been calling her Incestua in my mind canon.
I mean, you could also call her Cersei 2.0 or something from Game of Thrones.
A lot of people are making Game of Thrones comparisons to this, and I know, shame on me. I have not watched Game of Thrones. Mike, have you watched Game of Thrones?
Yeah, but after the last season, I don't know if I think it was worth it or not. Okay. But I mean, until the last season, it was great.
All right, but a lot of people are making comparisons from Picard to Game of Thrones. Do you think those comparisons are well-founded, or do you think they're overstretched?
Not really, but I mean, the comparisons are the violence, the sex, the vulgarity, the hardcoreness of it. They were definitely trying to pump up the hardcore element. So as far as hardcore stuff goes, I mean, the incestuous thing between Narek and his sister, I guess, some of the political intrigue, maybe. But, I mean, story-wise, they're very different. But, I mean, there is some influences in terms of trying to be edgy.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I have to check since I don't have all my computers set up on a nice big table, I gotta put my laptop on my lap to check to see if anyone's talking down the live stream. But anyway,
I was gonna say, because we all know how how edgy Star Trek is. Star Trek is
Oh yeah,
super hardcore, bro.
it's always been hardcore. I mean, everyone always acts like, like Blade Runner and Alien was dark and all that stuff. But no, Star Trek has always been super dark.
Yeah, you remember when Kirk like laid down the double dumbass on you line? Ooh, that is rated R territory right there.
All right. Just to be safe, okay, so we're going to put up some spoilers here because I feel like there's... Yeah, you know what? We're going to hold back on spoilers for a minute.
We tried this the last time and it completely failed.
Yeah, you're right. Fuck it. Spoilers. Spoilers are up. We're putting up spoilers right here.
Because you remember the last time we kept trying to dance around them?
We did.
And it just made us go on too long?
It's hard. I don't know if it's just me or maybe me and you, but it's so hard not to get into spoilers when you're talking about a television show. It's just really hard. But anyway,
one that's like this.
Yes. Anyway, so episode 6, The Impossible Box. Picard and the crew finally make it to the Borg cube where Soji is, and Narek is finally trying to get Soji to reveal what knowledge she has deep inside her mind. Picard gets on there, and he has a panic attack when he's on the Borg cube, which seemed far more intense than anything he's had previously, whether it be on TNG or any of the movies, because he has had reactions to re-encountering the Borg before, but never like this. It was like really fucking intense. But
once again, good old Kurtzman just probably looked on Wikipedia or watched maybe a couple episodes and thought he knew where Picard's mental state was in the Borg, but the whole point of First Contact was him facing what had happened to him and overcoming it. And then here he is, all back to where he was back in that family episode after the Best of Both Worlds, where he got assimilated, which was a great episode. And he breaks down crying to his brother and everything, and talking about how they forced him to kill thousands of people and assimilate people and stuff. I mean, but the whole point of his character arc, all the way to First Contact, was kind of him overcoming it. And here he is once again. And the way he was talking about former Borg drones until he meets Hugh, I thought was a little upsetting too, because he was like, they can't change, they're animals, it's like, dude, you were a former Borg. Like, for you to sit there and act like they're incapable of change and getting better, that's really fucking blinded.
Whoa, wait, was that, did he, wait, no, he said that when he was doing his fake French guy thing, right?
No.
The previous, that was the
No, he was talking to Agnes and Eleanor. They were talking, it was before they went to the Borg cube. They were sitting there having a meeting, and I remember he goes into his holodeck simulation of his chateau, and he has a little breakdown. He sees the picture of himself as a Borg. Right before that, he's talking to Agnes and Eleanor, and he flips out, because Agnes played down, his experiences with the Borg, and he flips out on her.
Oh my god, I must have blocked that out.
You did, because I guarantee you that scene exists. Because
I trust you. I trust you.
Just to tell everybody right now, during this whole thing, I've had nothing to do, obviously, like a lot of us.
Yeah.
So I've actually started doing a stupid fan edit of this show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Mike's been... Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye out for this. I don't know if Mike's
I'm not going to release it.
You're not going to release it? Okay, well, I will...
It's just for shits and giggles. I'm just bored.
Maybe I'll do a review of it. I don't know.
But I've actually seen every episode of the show now more times than your average person, and I don't know why I've tortured myself in such a way. But I have seen the show quite a bit. So yes, this scene definitely exists.
Okay. All right. But anyway, so Picard has his little panic attack, but then it ends because Hugh shows up and he's like, it's okay, it's going to be okay. And him and Hugh have a hug. And then he tells Hugh, I need your help to find somebody. He's talking Soji, and he's like, oh, I know who that is. But even though these first 5 episodes have emphasized that they're running against the clock, they have no idea whether or not these secret Vulcan commandos, the Zhat Vash, the secret Vulcan cult, is going to get to Soji first and kill her. He takes time with Hugh to check out the Borg Rehabilitation Center. I'm like, dude, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was kind of curious to get more of a look at it, but are you forgetting that Data's daughter could have a freaking phaser pointed to her head right now? It's just like, are we on the clock or not, man? Like, what's going on?
But keep in mind that in the previous episode with Eleanor, when Rafi questioned him on why he was going to pick up Eleanor, he was like, she could be dead already. I may never come this way again. Let me see Eleanor. And it's like, dude, the whole reason for this mission is to save Soji, and you're wasting time picking up a character who's completely irrelevant.
Right.
You have 2 badass Romulan spies that work for you on your stupid chateau.
I know. We mentioned this last time. I am so sad that those 2 characters did not stick around. Like, because we actually got some time to develop, and they had likable personalities enough. I'm sad that we, like, because as we'll go...
They never come back in again. They play such a huge role in the beginning of the show, and they never, ever pop up again.
I know. I thought they were going to show up and end, like, in one of the ships, but they didn't. All right.
That was all disappointing, but, like, I mean, in this situation, you could argue, I mean, Picard has no idea, what's going on exactly in the Borg cube. He doesn't know she's in immediate danger. I mean, also, you have to think about the timing of it. I mean, it's completely like a constructed, tension thing, in terms of screenwriting, that they're having the parallel of him showing up just when Narek is about to kill Soji. So, I mean, that's not a scenario that's likely. I mean, the chances of him showing up right when they're about to kill her is unlikely.
Yeah. But anyway, okay, let's punch through the rest of this episode because I want to get to the next one. Because the next one is, of course, one of the episodes of the season that a lot of people talk...
Can I comment on this episode real quick? One thing?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, we're still on the Impossible Box. I just want to punch it. I just want to finish it off. Okay. So, Narek uses some ancient Romulan candle ritual to have Soji remember the memories he's trying to reawaken in her, which seems more like a Vulcan kind of thing than a Romulan thing. Because it's like they're in a special room, nice wood paneling, there's candles, there's like a mantra thing going on, and it's like whatever. So Soji remembers her memory, and she sees herself as like a doll on a table, and that's when she starts to realize that she's not normal. And she sees a sky with 2 red moons, and the sky constantly has lightning. And remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Remember the fact that this sky has constant lightning in it. Well, because we're going to get back to that. But anyway, then Narek has all the information he needs, even though there's probably 1,000 planets out there that could fit that description. Whatever. But then he tries to kill her, and she literally punches her way through the floor, which apparently this room is right above the rehabilitation center, because she comes crashing through the ceiling, lands right in front of Picard. Very convenient. And then her and Picard run off. He's like, "Oh, I used to be a friend of your dad's." What were we going to say?
There is one little element. They did introduce the fact that Hugh was kind of tracking her, I think. I think Hugh was tracking her, so they were running to where...
They went to her room first. I forgot about that. They went to her room first. Okay, so my bad, but it's still kind of convenient that she fell almost right into their laps. But then Hugh takes them to a secret, the Borg Queen secret chamber on the cube, because I guess every cube has a queen chamber just in case. You never know when she's going to stop by. And they reveal that they have a super transporter, which was a device that, if I've seen online, was first introduced in DS9, I believe. Apparently it was something that can like beam you across the galaxy. It was either introduced in DS9 or Voyager. And it was indicated, it was definitely DS9. It was indicated in DS9 that if the Dominion got a hold of this, they'd basically be invincible, because then they can beam themselves anywhere in the galaxy and they'd be able to win the war. And the show just treats it as, the Borg had this, but they never really made... I think
it was Voyager, honestly.
Was it Voyager? I thought it was DS9.
I think it was, because I remember reading online that the implication was that they assimilated the species that had this, and they were in the Delta Quadrant.
Maybe right.
I think it was Voyager, but...
Yeah. But anyway, the show makes it out to be that the Borg were only going to use it as an escape system for the Queen. Hell the fuck no. The Borg would have taken that and used it to expand and assimilate 10 times faster. There's no way the Borg would have just used it as an escape system. I mean, you can say that maybe the Federation wouldn't know how to work it, but you're going to tell me the Borg are going to find this and they're not going to know how to work it properly like that? Hell, no way. No way.
Vincent, you take all the fun out of assimilating other cultures. We want to come in there with a big Borg cube and blow up their ships and cause mayhem. But, you could send an entire Borg army through that thing out on a planet, sure.
Yeah. I mean, these motherfuckers mastered transwarp drive. I'm pretty sure they can figure this fucking thing out. But anyway, then as they're trying to escape, Elnor pops out of nowhere. He ninja'd or samurai. I can't tell whether they're going for a ninja motif with this guy or a samurai motif. I'm leaning towards ninja. He ninjas in there and he says, "I'll buy you some time." And then he slaughters these Romulans, blood splattering all over the place, as Picard and Soji escape from the room. Which leads us into the next episode called Nepentine.
Well, we should talk about this episode first before we totally move on. I didn't get to say everything.
All right, say what you want to say. Say what you want to say.
So what I want to say is that The previous episode, I think, was the awful one with Seven of Nine, where they brutally murder Ichep, and Seven of Nine has this dumb revenge plot, and Picard argues the Gene Roddenberry vision of it all, and she totally ignores it and kills everybody anyway. So that episode was awful. Also, that was with all the bad accents, all the bad wardrobe, the bad humor. Mm-hmm. So this episode, I actually thought was it was a pinch refreshing, just because it actually delved into the mythology of the story, and it developed some plot threads. There was some stupid stuff, of course. There was, Picard acting like he had absolutely no development whatsoever with his inner turmoil about being assimilated. And there was the whole stupid, dream thing with Soji, which, honestly, that dream thing is just stupid. I mean, even the images she's seeing in the dream, I don't see how it's really relevant. I mean, the orchids that her fantasy dad in the dream is I guess cultivating. I guess that plays in the fact they have these giant orchid ships. I'm jumping ahead, but it really doesn't pay off. As you said, even to the point of her descriptions of the planet doesn't really pay off.
Yeah,
you'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in episode 9. Yeah,
the dream though itself, it's like the images we're seeing in the dream just are stupid. They really don't play anything. Again, I don't know why she would be programmed to have a dream that has clues about where she comes from. And also, Merrick taking her through that whole thing. I mean, she's not a biological organism. The fact that the idea that her brain would work the exact same way that a Romulan's brain would work, and that it would unlock her subconscious the same way, it just seems like a stretch.
Yeah, well, that's the weird thing about Soji. She's supposed to be like the most advanced android ever, where she's technically an android, but she's technically made of flesh and blood somehow. They really don't explain properly how she operates. Like, I'm okay with the idea of it's because they're delving into the point where it's like, okay, of course it's because of Star Trek. They, spoilers, they decide later that she is a person. She's a real person, but, like, how biologically is she a person? Like, because at that point it just sounds like a normal biological person, but she has super strength, and she has, calculating powers.
They did say that she was deliberately programmed to dream. That's what Narek said. It was deliberate.
All right.
I don't know why they would program her to dream and give clues away and stuff. And I mean, her mission is also programmed into her, and her whole identity is programmed into her. Which there's so many questionable things about her mission, and it's very convoluted what she's there for, and it's very hard to decipher. I actually know, because I've now watched the show way more times than I should have. I know what she was there for.
Yeah, anything more than once with more than you should have.
So I guess I'll just say what she was there for, basically, because it's hard for people to understand what she was there for. Because it's such a small detail in her storyline.
Right.
She is there because there is a Romulan group that are called, I think they're called the Broken or something. I'm trying to remember if they're called the Broken.
Oh, yeah, the ladies who touched the green ring.
They were the last Romulans assimilated by the Borg cube, and the Borg cube stopped functioning at that point.
Yeah.
The reasoning for that is that one of the Romulans is, they just call her Aunt. She's apparently the person that raised Narek and his incestuous sister.
Yeah.
And she was exposed to a vision. You'll get more into that in a later episode, but it made her go crazy. And her grief broke the Borg cube, which that's fucking stupid as hell.
Yeah, the Borg who assimilate entire planets. And I would assume when a planet's getting assimilated, everybody on that planet is freaking the fuck out and having, insane, anxiety and depression and sorrow and sadness. So you're saying an entire planet worth of people have never broken a Borg cube with their sorrow of being assimilated, but this one woman has? Give me a damn break.
Also, the knowledge she has in her brain, the Borg's assimilated, honestly, I think they've done just as devastating things as what she saw in those visions. Yeah. I mean, which we'll get into what the visions are.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't see what she had in her head as being something that would break the Borg. But what I was getting to is that I think she was sent there, Soji was sent there to investigate this woman. Because this woman, is suspected of having Tal Shiar connections. She has, she had this experience that broke the cube and everything. And there's the broken Romulan thing. So I think that somehow they got knowledge of it. She was sent there to investigate. Because you remember correctly, and I've seen the show a million times now, Vince. I know you're questionable, but trust me, that's the reason. Is that when she is talking to Hugh Hugh is telling her, "You've asked me to interview this woman thousands of times. Why do you keep wanting to interview her?" And Soji lies initially, and Soji's like, "Oh, because she has an interest in Romulan mythology, and I'm just curious in how that all works." But then when she goes to talk to her, she immediately starts questioning her about her, her experiences and how how her Romulan group was the last ones on the Borg vessel before it broke down. So it's explained that Soji was programmed to do something in the Borg cube to investigate something for the other synths. Okay, so this if you watch it as many times as I have, you start to piece together that she was there for that. She was there to investigate this Romulan group that broke the Borg cube because they had Tau Shiar connection.
Well, I'm glad you figured it out, bro, because I was very unclear about that even during...
Because it's such a small part of her storyline.
Yeah, it is.
It's so badly done. It really is badly done.
Because at the end of the day...
If you watch the show enough times, that is the reason.
Okay, I mean, honestly, bravo to you for figuring that out, because I still didn't get it. Even after they have an episode where they explain everything, I still didn't get it.
I had to watch it a bunch of times to get it. And I think I've seen every episode of the show now, maybe 10 times, honestly.
All right, so moving on to the next episode. The episode's called, Nepenthe? Is that how you pronounce it? Nepenthe?
Yeah.
The Riker.
Waste of time, you mean filler episode? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Picard and Soji get mega transported to this planet where we bump into Riker and Deanna Troi, who are living on this planet in a honestly a really nice house. This is a nice joint. They're super nice, and they meet Riker and Deanna's daughter Kestra, who they named Kestra. If I remember correctly, Kestra was the name of Deanna's sister that she never knew. I think that was Deanna's sister. And it's basically they're there to cool down, regather themselves, because Soji just found out that the man that she's been sleeping with for weeks, days, I don't know, they're banging, tried to kill her. The Romulans are after her, and she found out that she's actually an android, not a human being, and her father was the most famous android of all time, and all this stuff. So she's emotionally fucked. But she eats a tomato, and then it's okay. No, I'm just kidding. I hate that scene, that dumb scene where she's having a one-on-one with Deanna Troi. It's a nice little conversation between them, but then Deanna Troi hands her a tomato, and Soji's never had a naturally grown tomato. She's only had replicator tomatoes, which makes sense. I can believe that in the Star Trek world, that somebody may not have had a fresh fruit or something. But then she says a lot right before she bites into it. She's like this? She has to ask how to bite into the damn thing. Okay, hold on. Pull it back there. You ruined the whole fucking scene. But anyway, they go there. Riker's making pizza. He takes 3/4 of the episode to make pizza. And it's just them kind of catching up with Riker and Deanna. We found out they had a son too, but he died from a silicon-based brain disease that could only be cured if you had a positronic matrix. But because the Federation banned synthetics, there are no positronic matrices right now.
So I fucking hate this part of the show.
You did. I remember you were so pissed when you saw it. I remember we were talking about it. I'm going to let you go off for a minute.
Well, it's just that every fucking character in the show has to be broken. Every one of them has to be suffering from some kind of PTSD or some kind of trauma or something. They're dark reflections of who they used to be. They're shells of who they used to be. Though Riker has managed to keep his sense of humor, and he's overall kind of the way he always was. But it's just the fact they have this dark chapter in their life that has influenced them negatively. And it's why does everybody in this fucking show have to have a dark, traumatizing factor in their life? This is fucking Star Trek. It's about hope. It's about optimism. It's about, good things. And everyone here is oh, I'm suicidal and I'm miserable. And, and I know that they're trying to make this reflect our real world more, but that's not Star Trek. Star Trek reflects real world scenarios in the cultures and civilizations that they encounter, the Enterprise encounters. They don't do it in humanity. The whole idea of Star Trek is humanity has evolved to a higher state of being. They're supposed to be, what we want to achieve, what we want to strive for.
Yeah.
The fact that all these human characters are just broken people, it doesn't fit Star Trek.
I feel like, if I may interrupt for a sec, I feel like if this was an old school episode of Star Trek, their son wouldn't be dead, but he'd be in stasis. He'd be in a coma, and he'd be in stasis to keep him from dying. And then Soji showing up, they were able to use Soji to like cure him or something. I feel like that's how I would.
The whole dead son thing, honestly, it adds nothing to the story. Nothing. It adds nothing to the story. It's just, oh, by the way, you know these characters that you love, you haven't seen in a while? Well, they're also depressed, and they're also...
Oh, yeah. They gave him a dead son to more justify that synths should be allowed to exist and be respected and shown humanity. Because, like, the final say, their son would still be alive if the synth ban didn't happen, if androids were allowed to exist. So they just give Riker and Deanna this grief to further push forward the message that they deserve to be respected in life. It's just like, was it necessary? I mean, everything that has happened so far in the show, everything that's about to happen, it does seem unnecessary. Like, and why even like we?
Vincent, about 25% of the show is necessary. The other 75% is not.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you think of their the daughter Kestra? Because she formed like a little bond with Soji, kind of like a little sister bond. What did you think?
I thought it was forced. I thought she was pretty much there as a plot device to get Soji to explain how she's feeling. I don't know. I just thought the whole made-up language thing from her dead brother that she was obsessed with and all that. I just didn't care. I mean, honestly, like it was really good seeing Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis again. I really liked their performances. I liked seeing them again. But this episode stunk of filler. It absolutely stunk of filler. It just killed the momentum, completely dead in its tracks. While Riker makes pizza for a whole hour, it just was an unnecessary episode, honestly. And like the thing that's also frustrating is that earlier in the series they established with Daj, Soji's sister, that they have like this subconscious like piece of Data's consciousness inside their subconscious or something.
Yeah.
Like they established that in the beginning, but then they never follow up on it. And Daj had memories of Picard. She said, I feel like I know you, but I don't know where from. So she had memories of him. She had like an inkling of trusting him. And then you get to Soji, and Soji's like, I don't trust you. I don't trust anybody. And, you know, it's like, I understand that she's got screwed over by Narek, and that's supposed to be the thing that, you know, she trusted Narek and he screwed her over. But she doesn't seem to carry any of Daj's kind of embedded, you know, familiarity with Picard. That's not there at all with her. Like... And we could have skipped so much of this BS with you know all this filler for you know rediscovering trust in Picard with the daughter of Riker and all that crap. All of it is unnecessary. All of it.
Yeah. But anyway, so I mean, for me overall, the episode, it was nice seeing Riker and Deanna. It was nice seeing them. It was cool to see that they finally had a family. I'll say that. Partly, yeah. I get, yeah, but. But beyond that, you know, the only other
into the Agnes subplot, which was also
I forgot about that, the Agnes subplot. So the Agnes subplot is, you know, in episode 5, Agnes murders Bruce Maddox.
Really stupid too.
And she has a tracking device in her body that Narek is using to track the. By the way, I can't remember if we were. You probably know by now. What is the name of Rios' ship? Because you watched it twice now.
El Caliente.
You fucking ass.
I'm sorry. It's a bit. The name just doesn't. It's not memorable.
Okay.
It's not memorable.
Well, you are right, because I was watching the show. I remember I was several episodes in since Rios had been introduced in the ship, and I realized I couldn't remember the name off the top of my head. I had to look it up. Just for clarification, the name of the ship is the La Serena, which is...
shit.
Yeah. It's La Serena. You're way off. Which is Spanish for mermaid. So the ship is called the Mermaid. And which makes sense, because in his quarters he has like a mermaid statue on his shelf. But
I said El Camino, and I was like, oh, that's Breaking Bad. El Camino.
Gran Torino. We got Clint Eastwood involved. That would have been cool. But yeah.
Can I trash Agnes real quick?
We're about to trash her anyway, so why not? Yeah.
Okay. Dude, I struggle in this show to figure out who's my least favorite character, honestly. It started off Rafi in the very beginning of the show because she was just so overdramatic and just so, like... Every time she started talking, I felt like a violin started playing. It was ridiculous, her melodrama. And then Agnes kind of picks up the slack a little bit, and she starts becoming my least favorite character because there's no consistency in the show, and this just shows me the writers are improvising from episode to episode. They clearly did not map out everything, and they also didn't instruct the actors or the directors where they're planning on going with Agnes, because in the early parts of the show, Agnes is the comedic relief. She's plucky, she's goofing around, she's all like, ah, like when Picard says engage, she's like, and we're supposed to believe that this person that is so, bouncy and happy, that she's carrying this dark, dark secret that is so intense that it scares her to murder her former lover and to betray everyone in the ship. And she even says that the only relief she gets is imagining killing herself. Someone carrying that kind of weight, jumping around and acting goofy the whole show until then, clearly they did not have this mapped out. And the reason why she did all this is because she mind melded with the Romulan-Vulcan hybrid, Starfleet woman.
Commander O, yes.
Yeah.
Commander my. Yes.
And she planted in her mind this vision that also made the Ant Romulan character go crazy, which we'll get into that more, but it's a vision that ties into their hatred for Synths.
Yeah.
And it seriously fucked Agnes up so much she committed murder and is saying that she wants to die every second of the day. Yet she's goofy still somehow.
Yeah, that was a shame, because it would have been nice to have just one character who's the lighthearted member of the group.
Everyone has to be broken, Vincent. Everybody's broken.
I know. It was so... It reminded me of, like, in Arrow, when, like, starting in season 3, they just ruined Felicity Smoke. Like, she was a lighthearted, kind of like awkward one of the group, but we all loved her. And throughout season 3, 4, and then into 5, she just became a bitch. And I'm just like, why did you ruin Felicity Smoke? Why? Anyway, she kind of recovered later. But anyway, back to this bullshit. So Agnes, in order to destroy the tracking device in her body, because it's mixed in with her cells or something, she synthesizes a poison, which she takes, that sends her to, into anaphylactic shock or something. I don't know. She's foaming at the mouth, right? Yeah. And did you notice, because she got an injection, she made the injection from a replicator, but the replicator was just a literal normal 3D printer that they just CGI'd it, the injection device. It was literally you had to have noticed it, man. It was just a 3D printer, but she pressed it she treated it like it was a replicator. Like, that's not how fucking replicators work. Or look, they don't look like that. Fuck. But anyway, so she takes the poison, which disables the tracking device inside herself, and so. But then they ate pizza.
And Eric is trying to follow them.
He's following them. He's playing with this little cube.
Then you realize that it does nothing at all, because he still finds them later somehow, because what was the excuse they used for how he finds them later?
He extrapolated their last coordinates from the transwarp conduit.
Lazy writing. Lazy.
He's smart, Michael. He's smart. He has a Rubik's Cube, Michael. That means he's smart enough to coordinate the transwarp conduit. But
we also didn't talk about Elnor's dumb subplot with Hugh.
I don't fucking care about him.
Well, actually, no, I do want to say something about that.
All right, make it quick. We gotta move on to the next episode.
Right, well, there's something significant to me in that storyline. Is that Hugh, every time this show introduces something that is representing Roddenberry's vision of the future, they stomp it, they murder it, they brutalize it. It's like the show's announcing. The show keeps announcing, this is not fucking Gene Roddenberry Star Trek anymore, bitches. It's like, so Hugh represents this incredible, positive, hopeful energy in that one episode. Like, when he sees Picard, and he's so happy to see him, and then he helps Picard recover from his trauma with the Borg, and he's talking about the Reclamation Project, about, the XBs, and recuperating them, and all this stuff. You're like, wow, this is hopeful. This is actually... it's like recovering. It's almost like recovering drug addicts, or
it's not perfect. It's not a perfect scenario, but they're still getting their humanity back. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the closest to Roddenberry that the show ever got. And then guess what happens in this episode? They murder half the XBs right in front of Hugh.
Yeah.
The ones that he fought to save, and then they kill him too. And it's like, I don't mind when characters die for dramatics, sake, to raise stakes and stuff. But this just felt like so unnecessary the way they did it. And Hugh barely got to do anything I don't know. And then they bring in 7 of 9 to replace him basically with Elnor, and 7 9 and Elnor are doing their thing in the cube, which doesn't really matter.
She should have been on. She should have been on the cube with Hugh. They should have been partners. None of this. Oh. She's a space ranger bullshit.
Fucking... Yeah, fuck the space. Yeah, no, she should have been part of the reclamation project. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like
to infinity and the bottom of this alcohol bottle. How just anyway. All right. So next episode called "Broken Pieces," aka the super exposition episode. I was mentioned that earlier. This is the episode where it goes full exposition. Agnes is revealed to be the spy. She tells everybody that she killed Bruce. Well, now they figure it out because the EMH gets turned back on. So they find out that she killed Bruce Maddox, and she reveals what happened was that Commander O used a Vulcan mind meld, which Commander O is half Vulcan, half Romulan.
I think I already said all that.
Yeah, you mentioned that. I just want to reiterate. Yeah. Which was questionable. We didn't know at first. We didn't know what she was. We didn't know if she was Vulcan, if she was a Romulan. If she's a Romulan, how did she do a mind meld? I mean, biologically speaking, it's possible for Romulans to do mind melds. Biologically speaking, it's possible. I just would say they probably don't have the mental capability of doing it because, Vulcans, they're just like emotionless.
Well, they are. They used to come from...
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. Biologically, they're capable because they have a common ancestry. Yeah. So, yeah, they're biologically capable of it. I don't know if they can mentally pull it off. I think
they can. I think it's just that they're out of practice.
They're seriously out of fucking practice. But anyway, so it's revealed Rafi figures out a conspiracy theory because Rios' former captain killed himself because he ran into Soji 2 Part B.
Another broken character, ladies and gentlemen. Every character in the show is broken.
Well, that Rios
is broken too.
Yeah. I mean, the first time we see Rios is broken. He's got shrapnel sticking out of his fucking... He's literally fucking broken the first time we see him. But anyway.
Classic, right?
Yeah. So they figure out that it's revealed that the Zhat Vash, they have this... There's this place called the Grief Planet. And there's this big glowing energy ring, and we see like these women of the Zhat Vash grab onto the ring, and their minds are filled with a vision of the past where some super androids wiped out biological life on on multiple planets or something.
This is a vision that drove the Romulan crazy.
And the weird thing is, it's only women who try to survive this vision, and I don't know why, because we know there are male members of the Zhat Vash because all those Black Ops commandos in the early episodes were all men.
At the last second they tried to throw in that Narek had tried to become a Zhat Vash, and apparently he was rejected initially, but they don't really get into it. He just mentions he was a rejected Zhat Vash member at one point.
Oh,
last episode.
They'll mention it next season when he has his redemption arc, because I guarantee you that's what's going to fucking happen. I'm right. They're going to give him a redemption arc.
You're giving the writers way too much credit. I think that Narek's storyline is completely over, and I think we're never going to see him again.
I don't think at all. I think it's going to be back next season.
Too much credit. You think these people actually are going to follow up on something?
I think they are. I'm not giving them credit.
The Zhat Vash thing is over, dude, I think.
I know the Zhat Vash thing is over, but he's still going to get a redemption arc. I feel it. I can feel it in my bones.
I don't know, dude.
Anyway, so they touch a ring. Once again, I don't know why it's only women. They don't say like, oh, women are least susceptible to getting killed from it. But anyway, apparently at some time in the ancient past, there was another civilization that created synthetic life, androids, and the androids evolved, gained sentience, and then the organic people who made them got fearful of them, tried to wipe them out, and somehow they contacted godlike androids that came in and wiped out that civilization. And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of, that's what the Zhat Vash are afraid of, that if androids start to evolve and they become a species, they gain sentience, have souls, all that stuff, that they will contact the god androids to come down and kill all organic life in the galaxy.
Way ahead. That's like the last episode and that's revealed.
Is it?
That's not in this episode.
Oh, fuck. Okay, whatever.
You just jumped way ahead. In this episode, the only thing that's revealed is that the Romulans interpret it as a warning that, that AI was going to, evolve to a point where they'd extinguish all human life. it's not until we get to the last episode that we find out the real reason for the Vision. The Vision was not meant for Romulans, but we'll get to that later.
Right.
We basically said what the whole deal actually is, though. That is a spoiler for.
Well, we got it up. I have the spoiler thing up. People can see it.
It's a spoiler for our own review. You went out of sequence.
Whatever. Right. No one cares. No one. I don't know. Some people out there, Mike. I mean, if anybody's watching this right now, you know, we've had spoiler up for a while. I'd be surprised if you were still watching and want to go with the spoilers. But anyway, so continuing on, you go, Mike, because apparently I'm fucking up. So which.
Oh no! It's not that big of a fuck up.
Let's Let's go back to Agnes, because Agnes is revealed to be, you know, this secret spy person, and they say they're going to take her to Deep Space 12, where she will stand trial. Picard gives her like, you will go to trial at Deep Space 12. You have to atone. You know, you have to. He gets stern, and Picard really hasn't gotten that stern in this series very often, which is very un-Picard-like. But then they don't lock her up. They just let her walk around the ship. She even has time to go have a conversation with Soji, and I'm just like, how do you know she's like? She's still not. She could be crazy. You don't lock her up or nothing. I'm like, but meeting Soji restores her faith in androids, and she smiles. She's like, "You drink and eat, and you have beauty marks on your face. Oh, they're like a star constellation." It's just like, bitch, weren't you crazy a minute ago? Like, fuck.
Also, literally, the scene before that, she's literally talking about how all synths must be wiped out before it's too late. She even says, I saw Picard. I saw hell. If we don't do this, hell will rise again. We need to kill all synths. She's basically talking about destroying all synthetic life. And then suddenly Soji shows up, she's like, you eat! And then she's like back to like being in awe of her and stuff. It's like you were so petrified, utterly petrified by the existence of synths a minute ago, that you were talking about wiping all them out, and the second you see Soji, you drop all that. It's ridiculous. It's just the most awful character development writing ever. I think she's so everywhere. She's so all over the place with her character. She starts off the show as being a synth supporter, basically. She wants to meet, Soji and all that shit, and then she gets corrupted, but we don't know it because she's so plucky and happy. But then she murders Bruce, and then she talks about she wants to die, and she wants all synths to be destroyed before it's too late, and now she's back to loving synths again. Just a mess. Like, literally, it feels like every episode was written by a different group of writers. Like, every episode.
Yeah.
They didn't communicate with each other at all. It's a total fucking mess. And you were getting into her not being locked up. I mean, just jumping ahead a bit, it's not that big of a deal. But, like, they don't lock her up. She never gets locked up. She never pays for what she did. They literally end the show with her, like, being a member of the crew, and she never gets shit.
Yeah. The show ends with them heading to the planet where apparently the android colony is, and with Narek, they thought they lost Narek, but he's right behind them because he activated his cloaking device. And they go through
space flowers.
Yeah. Anyway, so next episode, part 1 of the end. But anyway, the name of the two-part is Et in Arcadia. Et in Arcadia Ego. Part 1. So they get to the planet, and Narek shows up in his little ship, and he attacks the La Sirena, the mermaid, and then boom, the Borg cube comes crushing through the transwarp tunnel. 709 is flying it, and they take out Narek's ship, or they're trying to, and then giant space flowers come up at them and and pull the ships down the crash, which I said this to you last night, and I'll say it again, and let me say it all the way. I like the idea of the flowers. I just wish something, like, why did they make giant flowers? Did they, like, if, like, the androids, it's not explained. Like, I kind of get a kick out of it, but it's like, then it's ruined for me because it's like, nothing about these giant, like, this is their defense. Why are giant flowers your defense system? Is there a reason? I just, like...
The thing is, I just wonder, are you listening to yourself as you explain this? You're like, why are giant space flowers their defense? Even saying that, dude, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. The space flowers is so stupid. Like, it's complete magic science. It's literally sorcery. That's how these things exist. They're literally giant space flowers attacking ships.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah. So they crash down to the planet. they leave the ship because the warp drive has been damaged.
Oh, you forgot one thing. You didn't mention the Borg cube that we've wasted half the season in a subplot with? That the second it shows up, it immediately crashes and gets taken out.
Oh no, I was getting to that. Yeah. So they get out the La Sirena, the mermaid, and they go to the Borg cube. 7 of 9 and Eleanor are still alive. They're all buddy now. I don't know why.
They're best friends, even though they barely know each other.
Like Eleanor views 7 of 9 like a big sister, I guess, or a mother figure. I don't know. That's something we're gonna get into when we get to the overall thing about relationships in the show, but we'll get to that later.
Well, one thing though that we did skip out was 7 of 9's 10-second little career as the Borg Queen, which did not mean anything.
Oh yeah, in the previous episode, she connects herself into the Borg cube, becomes a mini Borg Queen to use the Borgs. But the Romulans,
in space.
Yeah, they get flushed out into space, which shouldn't kill them because Borg can survive in the vacuum of space. We've seen this in Star Trek: First Contact, and she says I may not be able to give it up, and then she gives it up. She's able to just like pulling out a USB cord or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they acted as though this was going to be a big deal, her becoming a Borg Queen, and she disconnects like it was nothing.
Yeah. I don't know. I do not know. But anyway, so yeah, back to this episode. They crash. They check 7 of 9. There are some surviving ex-Borgs. I'm not going to call them XB. Something about calling them XBs does not sound right to me. So I'm just going to call them ex-Borgs, the full name. I'm not calling them XBs. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
That doesn't bother me. Of all the things that we've talked about,
don't get me wrong. It's minor. It's very minor. It's me just being nitpicky. It's just me being nitpicky. I can admit that. But anyway, so Eleanor decides apparently his place is on the Borg cube, sure, and the other remaining of the. God damn it, Eleanor is so fucking useless as a character. He's so he has no real. He's just there to cut people's heads off and to act.
Also set up in the show this Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, it's okay. Go for it. I'm fucking. I need to.
I was just saying that they set up in the show this Picard-Eleanor relationship as though that was going to be at the heart of the show in some way. And then they have 2 episodes together, and then Eleanor ends up on the Borg cube the rest of the show, and they don't have any interaction. It's why do you set up this father-son relationship if you're not going to develop it?
I know, man. It's Eleanor. I mean, he could have been cool. I mean. I want to think. I would have made him a Romulan. I would have made him a Vulcan because I think it would have been cool to be a Vulcan who's who can fight. Because Vulcans have 3 times the strength of a human, so they can throw down. They don't throw down because they're pacifists. But that would have been cool if it's but they can fight if they need to. I don't know. Oh God, Eleanor, damn it, you're useless. Anyway,
there's a lot of useless stuff.
Yeah. So finally, they make their way on foot. They get to the android colony, and everybody's a twin. Every android has a twin, except for maybe one. I don't know. I was confused by one of the androids, one of the female androids. Anyway, so they're there. And everyone's like, "Soji, you've returned!" And everyone's happy to see her. And some of them have bronze skin. Some of them have semi-silvery skin. Some of them have gold-like skin.
I got the impression that. That Soji and Dodge were the first of their kind, that they were the first fully, bio mixed with whatever. Yeah. The other ones seem like they have more android components.
Yeah, they seem closer to Data than they do to Soji or Dodge, yeah. But then, for one of the bigger surprises of this episode, out of nowhere, Data's long-lost brother just pops the fuck up out of nowhere.
Oh.
What is with this family? It's like Dog the Bounty Hunter's family. There's always another kid somewhere that gets introduced in the next step. The Thungs are everywhere, man. They're just
And it was stated in Next Generation that Soong, Data's creator, did not have any children. He did not have any children. That was the reason why he committed so much to the androids, and that's why he thought of Data and Laura and before, whatever, as his sons, is because he had no children. So out of nowhere, apparently he has a long-lost son. Where the fuck have you been this entire series? And the way that they just slip him in there, it's so not set up at all. There's no, it's just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's so badly done. Badly developed.
They just did it to give Brent Spiner some more airtime. Which, okay, listen, I'm glad to see more Brent Spiner. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, where have you been this whole time?
I bet you, again, this goes back to my theory, the whole series is improvised episode to episode, but I bet you they had no idea if they were going to be able to get Brent Spiner to commit to a full 2 episodes. And so it wasn't until near the end of them putting the show together that Brent Spiner was like, hey, I can do a guest spot for 2 episodes. Like, oh, let's write him in. Let's give him a character. It feels like they just seriously threw it together.
Yeah. Anyway, so they meet Soji / Dodge 2.B. Do you remember what her name is? Bronze Soji?
I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, we're gonna call her Evil Soji. So
Evil. She really doesn't have a point. None of that.
Yeah.
This whole thing's
so
nuts.
Evil Soji reveals that she was a sister. That it was her sister that met Rios all those years ago. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, and then they tell her that Soji has. They tell her that Agnes has the vision in her head, but she doesn't have the complete vision because, Evil Soji. We're spoiling it, but she's just a bitch. She says, I don't think it was meant for humans. I think it was meant for androids. And then she reveals that she studied Vulcan books. She's read Vulcan books, and you're already shaking your head. I know, right? She's she's taught herself how to do the Vulcan mind meld. Why not? Why not at this point? So she Vulcan mind melds Agnes, and she gets the full vision. And as I accidentally spoiled a little too early, yes, there are god-level androids out there from another universe, and you can androids can contact them to come here and take out organic life when organic life is starting to try to wipe out synthetic life. And that's the big secret that the Romulans have been keeping. That in the ancient Romulan culture, they thought they were devil gods or something, which is really ironic. Meaning, because we're going to learn in the next episode, the big build-up. If the Zhat Vash had left the androids alone, the androids would never find out about this, and they never would have the ability to contact these android gods. So the Zhat Vash should have just left them alone.
We need end of the universe stakes, Vincent. We can't have a simple storyline in CBS All Access.
Yeah.
So I know you covered the mind meld thing, but fucking hell,
right?
Like, the mind meld is something that anyone can learn if they read some texts, especially a non-biological life form, which she appears to be an android, not even half biological. She seems to be like the data model.
Yeah.
That's not how mind melds work.
Now,
damn it.
Now, if they had been just like, all they had to do was say, her and her sister were modeled, like, they're made from data, but they're more modeled off Vulcan biology. They're meant to be Vulcan androids. I could maybe stretch it. Because here's what happened. Somebody told Alex Kurtzman that in the episode of TNG where Spock came back for that 2-parter, that Data Vulcan neck pinched somebody, and they're like, oh, if Data could do that, then they can Vulcan mind meld. No. The neck pinch is the Vulcan mind meld is a whole different dog compared to the fucking neck pinch. It's a totally different deal.
Kurtzman too much credit. I think he just didn't care. He's like, this works. It's good enough.
Once again, I have to come up with my own headcanon for any of this shit to make sense. But anyway, so the episode goes on, and once again, nobody's angry at Agnes for killing Bruce Maddox, even though supposedly Bruce Maddox has been to this colony and everybody knew him. Nobody's angry because I think they're trying to make it out that Agnes is like, her mind was damaged and she shouldn't be held for her actions because all of a sudden she's not going to jail anymore. Why? It's like, I don't get why Agnes gets off the hook. They just brush it off as like, oh, she was like in mental turmoil, so you really can't hold her accountable. Like, yes, I can. Somebody's fucking dead, okay? I don't care that she poisoned herself. I'm sorry. She's not redeemed in my book. Anyway. So the episode goes on, blah, 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 blah. And
they said the Gollum thing, which that's never going to come into play later.
Oh yeah, Data's brother made a golem. Basically, he made a blank android body that he intends to transfer his mind into, so he can be an android like the other androids, because he considers all the androids on this colony, which is a very small colony, to be like his children. Which, once again, like, where were you all these decades, dude? Anyway, and going back
to this before this, that's why he didn't exist.
Oh, and Michael, did you notice anything? Going back to a previous point, did you notice anything about the atmosphere of this planet? Anything about the sky?
Oh, you mean about how it is like California, sunny, warm,
beautiful,
like, clear skies?
Yeah,
no lightning.
Yeah, this planet is supposed to have constant lightning storms. It has the 2 red moons, but it does not have constant lightning storms. So somebody fucking lied.
Somebody just didn't keep continuity going. Yeah. Somebody didn't care. Like, you know, that's the thing. Like I said, each episode is written by totally different writers, and they don't communicate with each other. And like, so it's like no one got the memo that there's supposed to be constant lightning or something. Or maybe they didn't have the budget for it. Maybe they're like, oh, that'd be too expensive to do. Let's just make it sunny. Yeah. No one is going to remember this planet's supposed to have constant lightning. Yeah. No one's going to remember that.
And all they had to do was have like a throwaway line saying, "Oh, when we first got to this, when we first found this planet, it wasn't." You know, it wasn't pretty, but thanks to some terraforming, we were able to change it around. But they just have a quick throwaway line like that, but they don't. They just forgot it.
There's one night they show where there's lightning. One night. You see a little lightning in the second episode, the season finale. You see one night where there's a little bit of lightning, and that's it.
Oh, wow. Okay, I guess that fixes everything. But anyway, so...
we're probably going to get into Narek showing up.
Narek shows up.
Because evil Soji helping him escape and murdering one of her sisters and shit.
Yeah. So anyway, they find out that the Romulan fleet's on its way, and they're going to wipe them all out, and they don't have enough flowers to stick in their gun barrels. Wait, is that what's supposed to be like that? You know, like what was that famous picture of like a back in like the 60s or 70s, they put like a guy had a gun holding back protesters, and the hippie put a flower in a gun barrel. Is that what that's supposed to be a callback?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm adding more depth to this than they did. Anyway,
I think it would be cool, space flowers.
Yeah. Anyway, so because I don't want to keep covering every detail, so basically they find out the Romulan fleet is coming to wipe them out, which makes the Zhat Vash are douches, like for more reasons than obvious reasons. But anyway, so evil Soji's like, we should call the android gods to wipe all life in the universe out. The organics are going to take us out, and Picard's like, whoa, no, you can't do that. You'll be murderers. And and then Data's long lost brother's like, no, they're right. We should call them. I'm like, dude, you're human. They'll fucking kill you too, jackass.
I also love how Soong, in one of the previous scenes, was giving Agnes a hard time for killing Bruce Maddox. He's like, what you did was wrong, Agnes. What you did was wrong. It's like, you're talking about wiping out every sentient life in the galaxy, dude.
Yeah. But no, but if you're with the androids, it's okay. It's okay. It's different. It's like, did you sleep here? If you slept here for a few nights, then you're one of us. It's cool. And then evil Soji looks to Soji. It's like, Soji, you agree, right? And Picard's like, Soji? And she's like, all of a sudden, it's like, she like turns into like Johnny Rico from Starship Troopers. It's like, I'm from Buenos Aires, and I said, kill them all. Like, she's ready, just like, bitch, what? I guess you don't care about your little sister Kestra back on the planet with the good dirt. Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, dude, it's such a fucking disaster. Like, you're supposed to be sympathizing with the... That's another thing, too. Who's the fucking bad guys at this point? Like, it starts off where you think...
The writers, Michael. The writers are the bad guys at this point.
It starts off where you think that maybe you're supposed to sympathize with Romulans because their planet was destroyed and they weren't helped, and there's all these refugees out there, but then they're the villains, kind of. But then the Siths become the villains, and it's like, who am I supposed to be rooting for right now? And even Soji, the android that Picard has been trying to save this entire series, is now talking about wiping out every single sentient life form in the galaxy. Like, every one of them. Like, how is Soji in any way redeemable at this point? She is willing to murder every single organism in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Dude.
Anyway, and fucking hell, I know I want to go off, but this video's already so long at this point.
Well, the last one was an hour and a half, so we're right now at almost an hour.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, but anyway, so part 2 of the season 1 finale, Picard's locked in his room. Rio and Rafi were already on their way back to the La Sirena to start repairs, so they didn't get handcuffed.
With the magic screwdriver, sonic screwdriver, that can fix anything with your imagination.
Right? Yeah, they get back there, and one of the androids that gets killed later, she gave them this device that I've heard, and she said, "You have to use your imagination." Right, and like
really, that's what you do.
Yeah, so he points it at the broken piece of the engine, and he just closes his eyes and he imagines what it needs to do, and it's like, and it just fixes it, and like
magic science.
Yeah,
it's so dumb.
Yeah, I said the device, like, it's the that one episode of Star Trek TNG where they have those little drone machines that can go into places of the ship and fix them, and they turn out they might be gaining sentience, and Data's like, I need to make sure they're sentient because that might mean I'm not alone anymore. I forget what they're called.
Yeah, but they use a little
replicator on the end to create various tools. But this thing is like that on God mode. Like, it's like they don't explain how it works. Like, and here's the thing. In multiple Star Trek series, we've seen the characters encounter cultures that are way more advanced than the Federation, more advanced than the Romulans, blah, 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 and they have technology that they just kind of understand. In this, they don't understand at all how it works. It doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so Narek starts throwing rocks at the La Sirena, and...
Yeah, now Narek apparently is a good guy, I guess.
Yeah.
Because... technically, he's right. Technically, the Zot Vosh were right all along. The synths are fucking dangerous.
Yeah, it's really at this point in the show, I'm like, I don't think this show's making a good argument for the androids at this point. Like, maybe Data was just like a fluke that he happened to turned out so good. But anyway.
Yeah, so now Narek is working with the heroes because he's part of the group now.
Yeah. Kirk's mental disease is starting to catch up with him in this episode. Sorry, Picard. Picard's mental disease is starting to catch up with him in this episode. Agnes, in the last episode, acted like she was with the androids and she was going to help bring the destroyers. But she's really, once again, playing the double agent role, and she helps Picard get out so they can make...
By the way, Evil Soji used a lie detection program and determined she was telling the truth. Agnes fooling a advanced lie detection program, highly unlikely.
Hey man, she's the greatest secret agent in the history of Star Trek. You have to give her that, Michael. You can't dispute it. You can't. But anyway, so let's wrap this up. So Narek hooks up with Rafi and Rios, and who else? Was it Elnor who popped? No.
Yeah, Elnor pops in randomly out of nowhere.
And they just they reveal, like, okay, the androids are going to build a giant signaling device, a tower that will send a signal to the god androids. And Narek tells them, like, okay, they're going to come, they're going to destroy all life. They did it one time before. So they hide a bomb in a soccer ball because Rios is Latino, so obviously he has a soccer ball.
And apparently the synths all play soccer too.
Yeah, because the synths are Mexicans. Oh no, wait, the Romulans were the Mexicans. That's just that's what the symbolically they're supposed to be in this show. Anyway, Anyway, so Picard and Agnes get on the La Sirena. They fly up into space with it to try to meet the Romulan fleet, which have 218 ships. The Zhat Vash have 218 warbirds. Listen, I know
the super secret Romulan society that has been operating without any knowledge has that many. Do you know how much crew is on those ships? That's how many thousands and thousands and thousands of Romulans is that?
Yeah, And the thing, the Zhat Vash really screw over their own species because, we find out that they're the ones that caused the androids on Mars to go haywire and rebel, which ended the Federation's goal to help the Romulans relocate. On top of the fact they have 218 warbirds. The Zhat Vash screwed over their own species. They really could have helped in the relocation program because, they don't have to, they just have, I'm like, I get you fear of androids, but how many Romulans died? How many Romulans didn't survive the relocation because you guys were fucking around like this? I'm like, Jesus, you guys suck. But anyway, so they're up there, the flowers come up too, and they have like 15 of them or something. And
just do nothing.
Yeah, the warbirds are just like wiped. I think they get a few warbirds off of these flowers, but it's 218 warbirds. That's a lot of disruptor fire. They're just tearing through these flowers.
Been a lot cooler? Is if the Borg Cube actually had a point in being in the show at all and showed up and was part of the battle.
I thought that was going to happen. I thought 709 was going to rev up the engine and we're going to go up and help them. But no.
She has to fight the incestuous sister.
Oh, that's right. She fights Incestua and knocks her off. With the way the show was going, I thought they were just going to start making out. I didn't know. It's like, are you broken? I'm broken. What the fuck was going to happen? But anyways,
just finds the stupid sonic screwdriver and replicates her face a bunch of times. That whole stupid thing. Yeah,
she's like, see, it works. So they do that and they replicate. Wait, are they actual? Are they projections or what?
I think they're projections. It is supposed to be a take on the Picard maneuver, where you warp drive from one location to the other and fool the sensors and make you think you're in two locations at once. So she then just imagines with the sonic screwdriver of having, all these holographic versions of their ship everywhere, and it does it for them. No problem.
Oh, God. Then back down on the colony, Soji is preparing the tower to send the signal. But then Data's brother realizes that evil Soji betrayed them, that she's the one who released Narek. So he has just a remote control and he can just turn her off like that. I guess they don't
talk for a second about the inconsistency with his character, and which by is inconsistent. But
he's a flip-flopper.
He was willing to annihilate every living thing in the universe one moment, and then he finds out that evil Soji killed one of his daughters. He's like, oh, this is wrong now. And then he's willing to help the heroes, and now it's wrong? You were going to kill everybody in the universe, dude.
Yeah, and for the rest of the episode, he's like one of the good guys. I'm like, please don't be in season 2. Leave Brent Spiner alone. Don't drag him back into this.
So dumb.
Yeah, so they infiltrate, and after that happens, they try to use the soccer bomb to take out the tower, but for some reason it flies right into Soji's hand, and she just tosses it to the side. And why did it fly right into her hand?
I actually wasn't sure about that. It almost seemed like it was magnetic.
I was about to say that. So wait, is she made of flesh and blood, but it's flesh and blood that's programmed somehow, or is she made of metal? Which is it?
I also love how they spent the whole season building up this dumb Narek relationship, and in the end here it means nothing. There's no... Their love romance means nothing in the end. He gets taken down right away, and he gets pulled away off screen to never be seen again. So unfulfilling.
Yeah.
Such a dropped narrative thread. Ugh. And also another thing too is that Narek to a lot of people represented an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
He's somebody who lied to her, he manipulated her, and then he tried to kill her, and we don't really get a comeuppance with him. He just gets taken off screen, just very randomly off screen. He never is seen again. We don't know what happened to him. We don't know anything.
It would have been more cooler if instead of this being, you know what? We'll discuss it later at the end here. But anyway, so back out in space, they've made the projections or duplicates of the La Sirena. Not that it matters because, and this part is kind of cool. I'll admit there's a part of me that found it kind of cool. Boom! An entire fleet of Federation starships show up, Starfleet starships, and who's the captain of the lead ship? It's Riker. He's back in uniform. He's got these ships, and he's telling the Romulans, he's doing this Riker stance where he leans onto the one armchair, and he's getting all cocky and shit. He's like, these are the latest, most advanced ships in the fleet. We're ready to throw down Romulans. Are you? He's hey, I'm calling your bluff here.
The copy-paste fleet.
I know. Here's the thing. I don't think the design of these ships are bad. I think they're decent design. I can see this, But why is it all the same design? We've seen throughout Star Trek The Next Generation and DS9 that the Federation will continue to use certain starship classes, or at least the same body type. On the inside, the technology, of course, is updated and stuff like that. But how many times have we seen Excelsior classes? We saw the introduction of the Akira class in First Contact. They will keep using Galaxy classes. It's like, why is it all the same ship design? Did you guys not have the designs on file? Would it cost too much to make new designs of these old ships? I don't know. But
it was an opportunity to have the Enterprise show up too.
Yeah. It's one thing when, like, all the Romulan ships look the same, because, usually in Star Trek, the alien ships usually only have one design, maybe two design, if it's a species we see over and over again. That's one thing. But the Federation has a variety of ships, because variety of different exploration missions or diplomacy. Some ships are... Only a few ships are totally combat dedicated, like the Defiant class or the Saber class. Those were combat dedicated vessels. But most of them have different designs for different reasons. But yeah, I don't know what the hell. But so then it's that. But then Picard, and this is a Picard thing. This is something I was happy. I was happy it wasn't a huge fight blowout. Picard uses his reason and logic to get through to Soji, right? Because she's opened the portal, and apparently the god androids are Dr. Octopus tentacles, giant Dr. Octopus tentacles. That's all we get. I'm really disappointed. I was expecting something more interesting and unique.
Basic Galacticus, or what was the thing in the Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer?
Well, that was Galactus, but they in the movie he was more of a living cloud or something. But
I don't know. Yeah,
he's supposed to be a giant. But I was expecting something different, maybe I don't know, make him liquid metal or something. I don't fucking know, but something more.
They didn't use any more stock footage from that effects website that they.
They used Shutterstock footage for that one Vision part where I remember when the first time I saw the Vision, the Hell Vision. I was like, wow, that looks like a really generic-looking robot face before they morph into Data's face. And then like you and so many other people, you took that from Shutterstock.com and just did a few little changes. But yeah, it's the same image. Holy shit, wow. But anyway, Picard gets through to Soji, and she destroys the device, which apparently all you need to do to shut down the tower was smash the console. You didn't even need a whole bomb. Which... Why didn't, instead of doing the whole soccer bomb thing, why didn't they just fly the La Serena over to the colony and take it out with a torpedo or something?
Well, then they would have killed Soji and some of her people, which Picard was trying to avoid, which I don't even know at this point why you would bother trying not to kill Soji, because she's clearly a villain now, but now she's not anymore, because like everyone else in the show, in a split second, she'll just flip sides. Yeah. Everyone in the show is willing to go to extremes, kill people, be murderers, do all these horrible things, and then all it takes is one little talk, and then they're willing to be good people again. So I actually didn't like that scene, Vincent, that you were praising with Picard and her, because once again, it's another display of you take this extreme scenario that she's willing to wipe out all life in the universe, and all it takes is a few words from Picard, and she's like, "Oh, this is wrong." It's like, also, I thought it was really stupid that Riker and Starfleet were up there defending the planet, while there's a portal being opened by the Sims below that's going to just annihilate all life in the galaxy. It's like, who are the real bad guys here, Riker? I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure the Romulans are not really the bad guys here anymore. They did such a bad job setting up who you're supposed to be sympathizing with.
Oh, totally, I agree. Yeah, I mean, listen, I just like it because I was expecting an all-out battle, so it was nice that it was just, Picard actually talked his way out of it, like, that's how Picard would do it. I'm not saying overall it doesn't save the show, doesn't even save this episode, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it was like I was expecting an all-out battle and we didn't. I don't even think the Federation fleet that shows up, they didn't fire one shot. That was like kind of nice. But anyway, so Picard, they save the day, the android gods go back to their universe, but then Picard has like a brain aneurysm or something.
That came out of nowhere too. Like they didn't even... Like the doctor he talked to in the first episode, he implied that Picard had some time. Yeah. But in this episode, which only takes place a couple weeks after, I think, the first episode, he just suddenly dies.
Yeah. It'd be one thing if, like, every other episode we see him, like he has a moment, like, where, like, the other characters can't see him, or he's, like, like, he's struggling. But except for... Struggle. Yeah. It's like, you gotta show that it's amping up. Maybe he's taking medication, like, he's trying, or he's injecting himself to give him some time, something like that. But no. Anyway.
Yeah. Then we go into the Matrix simulation.
The Matrix simulation, which apparently they failed to mention this earlier, but they somehow were able to recreate Data's consciousness, and he's been inside a quantum simulation. And I keep saying Picard. Picard is now in the quantum simulation, and him and Data have a nice talk. And Data has I love you, sir, and Picard's like, I love you too, blah 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 blah, and
they were never that. So we've discussed this before, but like on the series, they were, they weren't super close. I mean, he was a mentor figure to Data to some extent. They got closer in the movies, but to go to the point where they're both professing their love for each other, I don't know if it ever was at that level.
No, I think by the end, especially by the end of the movies, I think it's safe to say that Picard does care about the main bridge crew. He does care about all of them.
He care about them even in the series. But they grow closer.
Yeah, they grow closer, and I don't think it's wrong for him to like look at them as family. They are his family. I don't think that's wrong either. And I can get that Picard's older now. He may be more sensitive and open, but it's a little too much. And once again, LeVar Burton should have been involved in this series. Geordi was Data's best friend. Geordi should have been involved in this series. Anyway, so Data reveals that Captain, you're not going to die yet. When you wake up, I want you to turn off the simulation. I want to die. And Picard's like, why? He's like, this will mean that I'm truly a person, that my life is finite and I can die, and I want to spend my last moments knowing, that I've achieved that. So Picard wakes up. They put his brain in the golden body that Data's brother was going to use. He's basically he's a Synth now, but he'll live out his life normally. They put like a biological clock on him or something, so he'll die. But anyway, and I will admit. So they have the scene where Data. It's kind of stupid, but Data's now like in a silk smoker's jacket in the simulation. He's got like a glass of like champagne or wine or something, and he's drinking. And then they have the song, Blue Sky Shining on Me,
Which was actually sung by the girl who played Soji.
Yes. Issa, I always get her name wrong. Let me hold on. Because it's Issa Briones, if I'm remembering correctly. She has a very unique name. Issa Briones. I got it right. Holy shit. Okay, I got it right.
I will say that of all the things we've been trashing, I can't trash her voice. She's got a very beautiful singing voice.
Well, apparently she grew up in her dad's a musical theater guy or something. Yeah, so she's singing Blue Sky, and the scene where we see Data in the simulation, and as they pull out like the isolinear chips that are keeping the simulation going in the and his face starts to age, and the beautifully performed Blue Sky by Issa Briones. I gotta admit, something about seeing Data age and pass away and the combination of song, I admit, it got me a little choked up. But I think that's just because I'm more attached to Data nostalgically than I am the show. So I'll admit that I got choked up during this scene. I will fully admit it. But I just think it's because it's just like they did this one scene right. It's not like, I was wrong the whole time. The show is fantastic. Da da da.
I think it would have made a lot of sense to if you've had Data's consciousness in this Matrix all this time, right?
Yeah.
And he is the influence and inspiration and the foundation of your entire synth society. Why wouldn't you just take his consciousness and put it into a new body?
I don't know, because this has been discussed. Like, a lot of people don't like the fact that Data just wanted to die. Hell, some people have even brought up online, like, okay, is this truly Data restored, or is this a copy of Data that Picard's talking? There's some debate about it online. But that aside, some people made the case that they're referencing the episode of TNG where they find Data's head in a cave, and they go back and they meet Mark Twain and all that stuff. Some people are saying, okay, this justifies Data wanting to die. And some people are saying, like, no, Data, that in that episode, Data's saying he doesn't want to die. He's just saying he gets comfort from knowing the fact that he will die someday, because that means he's more human than android. It's a comfort to him to know that his life will have finality, because that makes him more human. And so, I don't know, Mike, what do you think? Do you think Data would want to die in this scenario, or do you think like they took that episode of TNG and they've totally misconstrued Data's feelings?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, see, so from the perspective of Soong and the synths, I think they have every reason to put Data into a new body, because he's like literally like the godfather of this whole operation.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's left his consciousness in this matrix and didn't do anything with it, I find hard to believe. But from Data's perspective, it's questionable. I mean, like, because I think Data also took some. I think he took some pride in that he was his father's creation, that he would endure, and that the memories he carries in him of those dead colonists from that one episode with the crystalline creature, that they would endure. And like, because he has, he has like this full download of all these people's memories and stuff. But he would, he talked about how, he took comfort or pride in that. I don't know. I think it's debatable. I think the Data would want maybe. I think what Data ultimately has always wanted is to be human, and we're now in a situation where he could have gotten as close to humanity as possible because they can make these golem things.
Yeah.
So if they put Data in this golem and they did the same thing to him they did to Picard, but they gave him a biological ticking clock to death, he could have aged, he could have died just like a human being. Mm. Like, and also it would have been kind of cool if Data was left behind on this planet to actually lead his people. Like Data was brought back and put into a golem body to lead his people as a human being. I think that would have been more fitting. Because he always wanted children. He always wanted to be human. You could have given him everything he ever wanted in this episode. So I don't know. And I have mixed feelings. I kind of know what you mean. I thought it was kind of a sweet scene in a way, but it also felt kind of like a missed opportunity, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, so the episode ends out. Picard now has a new body. Him and the crew get back on the La Sirena. Rios and Agnes are now a couple because they fucked when they were drunk and depressed a few episodes ago.
They're not the only ones who were a couple.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. Was Elnor back on the ship? He was back on the ship, right? I can't remember. He's so forgettable. Rafi and 709 are playing a game, and then they put their hands together. I'm like, are you guys a couple now too, or are you just fucking? I don't know. It came out of nowhere. Like here's the thing. I don't care if 7 of 9 is now bisexual or a lesbian, because in the years since Voyager, she could have continued to explore her humanity and realize she has a different sexual orientation. I'm fine with that, but just the fact that now her and Rafi out of nowhere are just like, because they didn't look at each other like, I'm gonna fuck you. Look at each other like, it's nice to be with you kind of thing. Yeah. Where the fuck did that come from?
There was no setup for it at all. Yeah.
But anyway, they all assemble on the bridge. They set in the coordinates, and he's like, engage. And they take off, and it's like, wow. All right, so my impressions of the season overall. What a disappointment. What a massive disappointment. As I said in part 1 of the review of this season, I cut out of Discovery 3 episodes in because I couldn't stand it. If Jean-Luc Picard wasn't in the show, I probably wouldn't have finished this season either. If it wasn't for the fact that we had Jean-Luc Picard, I wouldn't have watched. I probably would have cut out in episode 2 or 3. I think for me one of the big problems in this show is it's over convoluted. I was still confused by a lot of plot aspects, a lot of plot points towards the end, and the relationships. I feel like many of the relationships in the show are unearned and underdeveloped. Elnor caring about 7 of 9, the 7 of 9, the Rafi thing, Rios and Agnes, all that stuff. I just like, Narek and Soji, and Picard's a big problem. Like, don't get me wrong, Patrick Stewart, great actor. I think he gave a pretty good performance in this show, but Picard always projected a vibe of authority, that he was in control, and I saw that very rarely in this show, of Picard exuding his authority, that he was in charge. I get he's older, he's a little more frail, he's a little different, whatever, but it's just like the diplomat was there, but not the captain, and I missed the captain. So yeah, plus the violence. There was violence in Star Trek, and it's been covered, yes, but there was so much violence packed into 10 episodes You know, it's just like usually when you saw really violent things in the old series, it was spread out. Like you see, like every several episodes, maybe, right? But almost every episode, there's blood splattering, or someone's getting their eye ripped out, or there's like hellscapes and people are bashing their brains in. I'm like, this is too much. This is not Star Trek. This is not a Star Trek show. Fucking Galaxy Quest is more Star Trek. A movie that the fan base has accepted as a Star Trek movie. You know, it came out years ago, even though it's like a comedy satire, but it still homages Star Trek at the same time. Galaxy Quest, as goofy as it is more at the heart of Star Trek than this is. And I cannot not recommend this show harder. If you are, I know a lot of people, I've met people who say they're really enjoying the show. I don't know if they still felt the same way by the end. I know there are some people who are digging it. But in terms of my review, as a Star Trek show, it's horrible. As a dark, gritty sci-fi show, it's like a C minus. I'll say that. I'll C minus. But when you add in the Star Trek factor, it's straight down to like D minus. I'll say that the production is great, special effects, sets, all that's good. I think casting seems pretty good. Like, I mean, once again, some of the characters I don't care for, but I think all the actors tried their best. Some of them better than others, and some of them just like, As we both said, I think we both love the actor who plays Rios, because when he had to play all the different hologram versions of himself, that was really cool.
We never got into that, but I don't even like Rios as much as I like his holograms.
Yeah.
The one scene though where they're all together, it's a dumb filler scene. It has nothing to do with the rest of the story. But him jumping to all these different personalities, all interacting in the same scene together, like, that was impressive, acting-wise. For sure.
Yeah, no doubt. Anyway, Mike, your closing thoughts. What would you like to say?
You covered most of it, but I mean, I got really excitable during this review. I feel like I was so nerding out. It was very hard to
right, yeah.
Frustration.
It's hard, man. It's hard as fuck.
I mean, I'm a passionate fan of Star Trek. It came at an important time in my life. It helped me through some troubles. So Picard himself as a character was a huge, TV influence for me. I did not feel like this show did respect to him or Star Trek. It wasn't even really Picard. We were talking about the other night that it felt more like Patrick Stewart in Star Trek rather than Patrick Stewart playing Picard in Star Trek. The way he acted, it was like a shell of who he usually is. Like, you mentioned the diplomat, kind of is there, but the thing is, he's constantly being belittled and attacked every time he says something. And he's treated like he's a complete imbecile. And honestly, a lot of times he is acting like an imbecile. I mean, he's so naive in the show. He's so incredibly naive. He's overlooking tons of things that are obvious. Missing things and fucking up all the time. Picard is usually the smartest guy in the room. Like, for him to be the dumbest guy in the room sometimes in the show is very hard to accept. And I don't know, I just really hated how he was treated throughout the whole show. And again, there's a lot of dumb things that just didn't matter. His death sentence didn't matter because he just got a synth body in the end. And it really didn't play a factor into the overall story. You could have cut out him dying and it wouldn't have made any difference.
Yeah. I'm sorry, and I wasn't surprised when he became an android at the end. I was like, they're going to make him an android at the end of this fucking thing, aren't they? That's how they're going to get over the brain thing. They're going to do that. Anyway, I'm sorry. Continue, brother. Continue.
Oh, no, sure. But that was so badly done, and it was so obvious, painfully. The show is so anti-Gene Roddenberry and so anti what Star Trek stands for. It should literally be called anti-Star Trek. It's very clear when you watch the show that CBS All Access was only interested in gaining more subscribers by using Star Trek as a brand name, and that they didn't care as much about the quality of the product they were putting out. They hired a man who clearly doesn't understand Star Trek, Alex Kurtzman, who doesn't give a shit about it. It's so painfully obvious in the way it's executed that he doesn't care. In every facet of it. And Michael Chabon even, I initially defended him, but in recent interviews he has said things that made me go, oh, you're just as fucking guilty. Like when he said intentionally we're doing things to insult fans. It's like, why would you do anything to alienate the fan base?
Yeah, that's like when Paul Feig like insulted the Ghostbusters fans. He calls them like, oh, like those assholes, or like they're being mean, and he like, dude, it's like, here's the thing, because Star Trek Discovery was the big opening show for CBS All Access, and Picard is supposed to keep it going. Without their original content doing well, how is CBS All Access going to survive? Because, I mean, Discovery's getting their final season. It's already, been, that's.
Oh, they confirmed it's the final season.
What?
Have they confirmed it's the final season?
Well, they haven't confirmed it, but I'd be surprised.
Well, there's rumors that Discovery was not doing so great in the second season.
That's what I've heard. Like, the rumors are like, it'll be surprising if they get a fourth season, unless the third season is like really damn good, which I don't care because I haven't been watching it.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Honestly, which one's worse? I can't decide between this and Discovery. I really can't.
I leave that up to you because once again, as I said, I got 3 episodes deep into that motherfucker, and I popped out.
But yeah, I mean, finishing up my closing thoughts.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I do think it is both a bad Star Trek show, but also a bad sci-fi show. It's mediocre at the very best sci-fi show. It's not clever. It's not original. It's very questionable. You have really badly developed characters that do things that don't make any sense. You have a really convoluted plot that's all over the place. It's constantly retconning itself as it goes along. Like, we're constantly reinventing what the story is. You don't have clear antagonists. I don't really know who the villains are supposed to be. At a certain point, it feels like the Romulans are actually the heroes, sort of, but they're still treated like the villains. It's just a fucking mess. And the themes that they were trying to push, some of them are like being sledgehammered in the head. It's just hitting you too hard, and others are just so badly done that it's hard to know what their point was to begin with. It's just a messy show. It's incredibly messy. It's very very badly executed. Minus the production value of it, the look of it, the sound of it, those elements, everything else is kind of a mess. And unfortunately, it bleeds in everything else. I mean, like we said, the actors I don't think are the problem necessarily. But the problem is that they were being supported by awful writing and mediocre direction. And I feel like a lot of them didn't really understand who their characters were. Like, I mean, could you imagine playing Agnes, having to be like, okay, in this episode, you're this now? It's like, wait, what? Like, the actress playing Agnes, she clearly didn't know in those first few episodes that she was supposed to be harboring this deep, dark secret. The way she's acting, her poppy, plucky stuff, clearly she didn't know that. Yeah. So had she known that ahead of time, she probably could have inserted a little bit more, depth into her character. But she was told she was a plucky comedic relief, so that's how she played it.
Yeah, Alison Pill, like that, the name of the actress. Yeah, like, I mean, oh man, what they did with her character. Once again, they Felicity smoked the shit out of her. But anyway, yeah. So,
but that's across the board, man. Across the board. And you have some good actors. Like the guy who played Narek, I think is a good actor. I believed everything he was communicating, but I think his story was a mess, and I think his development was a mess, and I also think at the end he served no real point. But anyway, so that's it. I don't care about season 2. I already canceled my CBS All Access. I had CBS All Access just for the show, and I canceled it as soon as it was over. I don't plan on ever renewing it. So I'm kind of done. They killed. I don't know if they didn't kill Star Trek for me entirely, but they definitely damaged it for me because, see, with Discovery, you can disconnect because the cast and characters are totally separate from anything you've seen before. This, though, is taking actors and characters you're familiar with and bastardizing them and ruining them. And it just makes it really hard to erase that from your mind when you go back and watch previous content. I have to try really hard now when I watch old Star Trek to not think about this show and about how they ruined some of these characters.
Yeah, man.
We were talking though before how I was on the fence in the midway point. Well, you were on the side of the fence of just being disappointed. I'm now with you. I'm totally. If you couldn't tell by my review, yes, I'm very disappointed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome to this side of the fence. We're gonna cut a hole in the fence so we can stick the middle finger through it. So right there. Take that, Alex Kurtzman. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. You don't care about what you're doing. You're just CBS's lapdog. CBS is like, we want Star Trek, but darker and grittier. Blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. I like, how does this guy keep... Because Alex Kurtzman was involved in the movies, right?
Yeah, he was a co-writer on the movies, and he also is a showrunner on Discovery, and he's the new Rick Berman, which, by the way, dude, people gave Rick Berman so much shit at the end of his tenure as the head of Star Trek. I look back now and I'm like, dude, get Rick Berman back. Bring him back. Rick Berman at his worst is better than Kurtzman at his best by far. Yeah,
because, I mean, you can still at least say that, I know Enterprise, the last series they did, was a disappointment to a lot of people. I didn't finish it.
In comparison, it looks like a masterpiece.
Yeah. At least I tried to keep the spirit of the show. You can add some more drama here and there. DS9 got darker than TNG or TOS ever did, but it didn't get like this. Holy shit!
That's the thing about DS9 I really appreciated, is that they did what Kurtzman says he's trying to do. Is they pushed the envelope. They went darker, but they kept the spirit of Gene Roddenberry alive, which is really important. They kept the spirit of what Star Trek is supposed to be still there in the material. This didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is our part 2 review of Star Trek Picard Season 1. As you can tell, me and Mike do not think very highly of it. We are beyond disappointed. Maybe not beyond. We are solidly disappointed, frustrated, angry, confused. And as I said in my Doctor Who review that I put out a month ago, I don't know what the fuck's going on with sci-fi. Star Wars is confused, Doctor Who has become stupid, and now Star Trek is severely depressed.
Oh, you're not mentioning Terminator Dark Fart.
Terminator. Well, Dark Fate, I mean, it wasn't horrible. Don't get me wrong, I had my problems with it. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. These new additions to these old series, just let the series alone. Stop digging up old beloved franchises and pissing over what we loved originally about them.
Yeah.
Okay, like just leave them alone, man. Or at least fucking try to pay attention to what people loved about them to begin with, and try to deliver on what we want. I mean, it's like, then you have people like Shaban who says, we wanted to like push people, we wanted to make people upset. It's like, dude, go do your own show if you want to do that. Don't fuck up Star Trek.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, we do not recommend Star Trek Picard. I mean, tell us what, if you guys have an opinion on Star Trek Picard, let us know down in the comments. What do you think? I mean, are you with us and you think, oh, this is fucking horrible? Or do you actually like it and you think we're not getting what it is about? If you think the opposite of us, please, by all means, let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm down for hearing a counter perspective. I'm down for. I'm willing to have my mind changed. But hey, everybody! Hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to see a full episode, I live stream over on Facebook, and of course, don't forget to click subscribe and check out some more videos.